Hello, my children. This is the last class of A Valediction Forbidding Morning, the poem by John Donne. So, I hope you have understood all the other three sessions. Then, today is the last class. We have already discussed the poem. So, here we'll be analyzing the themes and major points of this poem. Come on, let's get into it. Yes, children. Coming to the themes of the poem, we have the themes of death, love, and spirituality in the poem. In the first paragraph itself, we are introduced to the theme of death, right? As virtuous men passing mildly away, Donne is going to depart from his wife for a journey. And we have in the lines following, we have the themes of love, that is how their love is like. It is not physical, but it is spiritual in nature. Their souls are one, and if it is two, it would be like two legs of compass, like that. Image of the compass is very much important in the poem, because this poem is known worldly all over the world because it has this reference of compass, and really unusual comparison. That is why it is a metaphysical poetry too, poem too. The image of the compass is important because it symbolizes strength of the relationship, also the balance that exists between speaker and the wife. Okay, balance that exists between speaker and the wife. We have already discussed all these things. So please, if you get any doubt, please go to a previous video and clarify it. And we know compass described as stiff and fixed foot that claims to the lovers or wives stiffness or steadfastness, that he always finds his way back home. And we can see the conceit or the comparison between two very unlike things is very common in our work. And coming to a similar metaphor, that he is comparing his love to the celestial spheres. The movements are invisible on earth. The bigger movements of the other spheres are invisible, but they are more powerful than the highly visible movement of the earth. They are more powerful. And we can see the next analogy shows their parting would be like expanding rather than a breach. Their parting means they will split, but here this parting will try to expansion of their souls, expansion of their love, like gold when hammered, how it expands. Then we saw another theme, we can say it's about religious reverence. We know he is a very religious person, and he also support the nature of being religious. In the departure of virtuous men, he's making reference to the fact that the religious men who are very much secure in their faith, they do not fear death. Why they have faith and why they don't fear death? Because they lived a virtuous life. So they are not afraid of death. Why are they not afraid of death? Because they know they're going to embrace eternal life. They're going into the arms of God. Then we can say science is a theme because we have a reference of mathematical tools here, and the drawing compass, which was invented by Galileo just 2 years before this poem was written. And we can see science references celestial movements, trepidation of the spheres, movement of the earth, and we can say flood, then what do we say, tempest, and Ptolemaic spheres in which celestial bodies moved. No, I described all those things. Then science plays a role too, as Donne mentions, that is love will expand like gold to airy thinness beat, referencing both a precious metal and its physical properties. And we can say that the first two stanzas argue that the speaker and his love should separate quietly. We already knew that. Then as righteous men go to their deaths. Next stanzas consider holy nature of their love, contrasting it with ordinary lovers because their love is based on sexual attraction. And the final stanzas we can see lovers are, their souls are always joined together. They can endure the physical separation, but the common sublunary lovers, another scientific term, right? Sublunary, they cannot endure. So we have seen that John Dryden in 1693 essay, A Discourse Concerning the Original and Progressive Satire, he considered Donne's writing as unnatural. And it was in 1693, and he spoke that Donne, he affects the metaphysics, the first time it was used. And I told you about what is metaphysics and all. Then 18th century critic Samuel Johnson in his Lives of the Poets applied the word metaphysical to the work of our poets, but it was in a derogatory way, in a bad way. Then the modernist writers in the 20th century praised the poems of metaphysical poets, and they claimed it is more intellectual. Then they could see rhythmic invention. And in 1953, in Alan Tate's Essays of 4 Decades 2, he gave a detailed review of metaphysical poems. Then he also spoke about the beginning of valediction forbidding mourning. In the second stanza, that is, so let us melt and make no noise, it is actually speaking about their sexual intimacy, orgasmic ecstasy they were speaking to. Let us melt, let us pass through the body, like that. Let us die in both the senses. Like that it was using as per Alan Tate's observation. And Lionel Trilling, another critic, in his work Prefaces to the Experience of Literature, that work was published in 1967. He finds that poem as an authoritative voice, reinforced by Donne's avoidance of strict meter. And regarding the conceits, the first conceit we know of dying men, and he's also departing to a tour. And we already discussed, it was generally accepted in Donne's day, good men get good death, and evil men will be troubled at their death point. That is the first conceit or first comparison. Second one, in the stanza 2 also we can see, no, the second stanza there is not uh, conceit, we can say. Then we have in the third stanza we can see he has used earth, then the trepidation of spears, earthquakes. That is a far-fetched comparison. Then we can say in the sixth stanza, the comparison of gold, like the malleability of gold he has used. Then their love will also expand, or their soul will also expand it as gold expands when it hammered. Then we have the final conceit, the image of compasses, and it is powerful. It is a very powerful conceit. Metaphysical poetry, we know it is famous for its startling images and conceits. Conceit, I am again explaining, fanciful comparison, or you can say metaphor, imaginative or fanciful comparison, rare, they are comparing unlike things together. Metaphysical poets see resemblance in things which are really unlike, like how love to gold, how love to trepidation of spears, how love to compass, how love to dying men. They often use complex and concrete metaphors. They complicate the ideas, metaphysical ideas. they complicate the ideas, love, death, and all metaphysical, beyond the physical things. No, they were speaking about beyond the physical things, love, death, religion. They were talking about abstract things, but they were using physical, material ideas. Then spiritual love is compared to the depth of a holy man. Love is compared to pure gold. See, like gold as it is used, right? Like gold to airy thinness beat. Then the first line, as virtuous men, direct, we can see as. Then we have the directness of comparison, we can see in the compass, analogy of compass, as if twin compasses are two, like that. Three major, one which is in the form of direct reference. Then the poem concludes with the belief that real love is very much powerful and unbeatable, and love is the central theme of the poem. The poem is in 9 stanzas using many poetic devices. Then stanza begins with a metaphysical conceit, as we have seen. Then extended simile that compares death of a virtuous man to the separation of the lovers, again explaining it. And we have discussed all those things. Hyperbole is used. It is a feature of metaphysical poetry, exaggerating things. Remember in the paragraph second, tears were compared to flood and sighs to tempest. So hyperbole, metaphysical conceits we have seen. And don't forget earthquakes, trepidation of spears, then compass, then gold. All these things are very much important. So I think we have covered all those things. So we are concluding. The metaphysical poets were men of learning. We know they were scholarly people. They showed their learning through poetry. But this poetry was really unnatural, artificial. They didn't imitate nature. They were just focusing on new ideas. And that is why the Restoration writer Dryden and Samuel Johnson and all were criticized Donne and his poets. And we have seen they have never imitated anything, but they had new thoughts, and the thoughts were not natural. They were not, they were deliberately, they were creating the poems. And different ideas were brought together. We saw abstract notions and material things were brought together, and we saw several comparisons, and they merged all these comparisons together in their poetry. That is why Samuel Johnson remarked the heterogeneous ideas were yoked by violence together. Then we saw the comparison between two entirely different things or images. We saw that like gold to love, compasses to the souls of the lovers, trepidation of spears to speaker's love, and earthquake to laity people's love, sublunary lovers to the common man, to the common lovers, to the commoners, like that. So they are laity people who are not clergy people. So definitely there is a point that Donne is considering himself to be a clergyman, clergy person, and they are lovers, holy, and clergy people, the religious people, or people who are into the main practices of religion, who are leading the main practices of religion. So they can also be called the priest of love. The speaker and the wife can also be called the priest of love. Then we saw the new expressions, the form of new expressions, and they focused on new ideas, that is novelty, and they focused on scholarly learning in the poetry. That is why their poems were very difficult to understand for the common people. Then we saw different allusions in their verses, And metaphysical poetry, I told in the introductory class, metaphysical poetry can be divided into religious and amorous poems. And I've mentioned you the names of certain um, metaphysical poets: Thomas Carlyle, Suckling, then Herbert Crashaw, Vaughan. Carey and Suckling were dealing with the morose verse, and religious verses were written by Herbert Crashaw and Henry Vaughan. And Donne wrote both religious poems and amorous poems. He wrote both types of poems. And in the major themes of the poem is that he was contrasting the love between the common people, laity people, and he was considering himself and the wife belongs to the other world. That means their love belongs to the other world. It is of spiritual in nature. Really, it is the union of spiritual and emotional and sexual, but it was more spiritual. That is where they were always connected together um, if they are living in two different places too. Okay, so I think we have covered almost everything about this poem. So study the poem well, read, then you'll get the full idea. Okay, read the poem, read the features of metaphysical poetry, absorb the features of metaphysical poetry, then you will find it easy to understand. It will not be easy anyway. You will understand this poem because I have introduced you almost everything about this poem. So if you are reading any other metaphysical poem, you have to keep in your mind these are the features of metaphysical poetry. So it will be helpful for you to understand it in a new light. Okay, my dear children, so we will meet with yet another session of appreciating poetry in the next class. Thank you.